Hello, and welcome to On the Offside. I'm your host, Derek. Don't worry, tonight joining me is co host, Derek. But wait, there's more. There's a special guest appearance from it's Derek. It's me. It's a me podcast, and I am so excited to be bringing some great content, some educational, informational, sensational information to you all today. Let's kick things off. So, like your dad said before every road trip, let's rock and roll. Okay. So, ETSU 6-0, and I fully expect them to move on to 7-0. They got UTC this week. UTC is 2-3. They've got issues at quarterback. If you really look into some of their stats, the quarterback's thrown for 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. It's kind of prime picking for the ETSU Bucks, who are now ranked number 10 in the country in FCS. So college football, very exciting week for a fan that really doesn't have, or if there's a fan out there that really doesn't have too much of an allegiance. This is the kind of college football weekend that you just live for, because you have great games, you've got close games, you've got comebacks, you've got stories like Spencer Rattler getting benched, and just all kinds of stuff all across the college football landscape. So I will start talking about the Oklahoma game. Personally, I wasn't pulling for them. I was pulling for Texas. It's an old Vince Young thing for me, I guess. I don't know. I really like that team with Vince Young, and I like Mac Brown there and Colt McCoy, but I just don't like Oklahoma. But what a comeback. You got to give credit to them. I really just didn't want them to win because I really don't want to see them in the college football playoff. I fully expect them to lose a game before the season ends. Quarterback issues obviously became apparent. That's why Spencer Rattler got benched, pretty much eliminating his shot at a Heisman, in my opinion, and it really comes down to Bryce Young and Matt Corral now. But Bryce Young won the head-to-head matchup, so who are you really going to take in that? It's Bryce Young. Bryce Young is, in my opinion, by far the favorite for the Heisman candidate. If he doesn't win it, it's because people are just sick of Alabama having success. It's like LeBron in the NBA. People are like, oh, I don't want to give LeBron MVP. It's like, well, he's kind of the most valuable player. Yeah, but he's got too many awards. Okay. Cool. That's how this should go. It's not how this should go. Anyways, Bryce Young should by far and away be the leader for the Heisman as long as the season continues on the path that it has been. Arkansas Ole Miss, great game. Great game. It was a lot of fun to watch. I don't even know what to say. Ole Miss kind of dodged a bullet there. Arkansas was in prime position to take the game to overtime or win it, and they went for it on that 2-point conversion. And you don't blame them. They're on the road. Why would you not? That's kind of, I feel like it's a general rule of thumb. If you're kind of the underdog on the road and you've got the chance to win the game in regulation, take the chance to win in regulation. It just didn't work out, and you could kind of see the relief on Lane Kiffin's face as they were going out on the field to shake hands. But great game, a lot of fun to watch. Iowa, Penn State, sore subject for me. I'm not really a Penn State fan, but it's kind of one of those things that I prefer them over Ohio State and Michigan. So it's kind of like, well, if you want somebody from the Big Ten to be in the playoff, who else would you want? It's between those 3 teams, in my opinion, and they're kind of my preferred team out of them. But the thing that I don't like about this game is Clifford got hurt, the quarterback for Penn State, and I feel like that's the only reason that Iowa really won. If that injury doesn't happen, Penn State's undefeated, probably still sitting at number 3 or 2 at this point after if they had beaten Iowa, who I think was ranked number 4. So, don't like situations like that, but, what can you do? And now let's talk about this game. Hey, Matt, how do you feel about Texas A&M coming into the week?
I'm not really nervous for it.
Feel pretty comfortable. Yeah. Well, it's awkward because they didn't win. They lost. But, Matt's not concerned. And if I was an Alabama fan, I wouldn't be concerned either. But Matt's actually converting to being an Auburn fan now. Alabama lost, and he just can't handle that. He only pulls for winners. So there's a term for that. It's called a bandwagon. But we won't bring that up. No, Matt's still a Bama fan. But I do think Bama's playoff chances were not eliminated by that loss at all. If they take care of business and go beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, they 100% will be in the college football playoff, and deservingly so. I told all the guys this. What I really think is going to happen, Georgia's going to win out. Bama's going to win out. They're both going to be in the playoff. And I don't like this, but I think Ohio State will end up winning out and sneaking their way in. And I think Cincinnati will actually make it. Which, do I like that? No. Do I prefer it over Notre Dame making it? 100%. I'm sick of Notre Dame being in the college football playoff. We should not let them in until they at least join a conference. It doesn't even have to be a Power 5 conference. I mean, I would prefer that. But at least Cincinnati is in a conference. And, they're taking care of business. They're undefeated. And they beat Notre Dame. So I'm happy at the end of the day with that. So continuing on with the recap, let's talk about the NFL. The Titans beat Jacksonville. That sounds like it's not a big deal at all. And I wouldn't blame anybody for saying that. But winning an NFL game by 18 points, you do not discredit a team for that. Winning that game without Julio, that's a good win. Additionally, Jacksonville looked really good against Cincinnati, who has looked pretty good this season, and they were coming off of 10 days rest. So, let's not just completely act like the Titans didn't have somewhat of a meaningful win. Jacksonville's 0-5. I'm not saying the Titans are going to go win the Super Bowl, but let's just not take this as a surface level of the Titans beat the Jaguars. Who cares? It's the Titans beat a team that has kind of gotten better. They played Cincinnati well. They had extra time to rest, and then they beat them by almost 20 in the NFL. You take that. That's a good win. That's a good win. I mean, we're not talking about the 0-16 Detroit Lions. If you beat them by 18, you beat them by 18. In the NFL, that's impressive. The Saints beat Washington. I don't like talking about the Saints. I wish they would go 2-14. I would rather I like them better than the Falcons. But, they beat Washington, and who knows where that team is really at without, Ryan Fitzpatrick. They get Tyler Heinicke at quarterback. I like Heinicke, but he's not an elite quarterback. But my big thing from the Saints game, from a positive takeaway, Jameis took care of the ball. I mean, he threw 4 touchdowns to 1 interception. You're excited about that. You're excited about Michael Thomas coming back. You got a bye week to kind of regroup. The connection with Marquez Callaway seemed to be there. Everything that got everybody so hyped during the preseason because they looked like they were just going to throw the deep ball to Callaway, and Jameis has the arm to do it. It's what Saints fans should have wanted out of Callaway all season and out of Jameis. They wanted that connection, that deep ball. Michael Thomas will add another element to that, offense. But Jameis, his accuracy, there are still issues with that. I think he was 15 for 30 passing this week. Got to improve on that, and you've got to think that Michael Thomas will help. If you're a Saints fan, you're optimistic. You're not out of the playoffs by much. I think technically their record is tied with the Panthers, but they have the tiebreaker, plenty of season left. and you're getting your best player, arguably, on offense back. Is Michael Thomas better than Alvin Kamara? In my opinion, no. But that's a big piece of the passing game that will help Jameis along. Now the Panthers. This one's tough to talk about. I don't know where to start. We caught an L against the Eagles. Just excuse me while I go cry. Just kidding. The biggest thing for me is our offensive line is absolute hot garbage. We have to fix that. We have to fix the offensive line. We keep doing things to bolster the defense, and that's great. And I'm excited for Stephon Gilmore to get back out there, and can't wait to see him in, Panthers blue. We didn't have Shaq Thompson, who is the leader of our defense, against Philly, but Hassan Reddick had 2 sacks. I think he's second in the league in sacks, or tied for second in the league in sacks. So that was a great signing. But we have to protect Sam Darnold. And it was, probably the most discouraging thing for me in that loss was Darnold looked a lot more like what he looked like in New York. And that is not what we need. We need somebody to protect the ball. He doesn't even have to throw the ball far to guys like Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. They're great after the catch. Terrace Marshall. Hubbard looked good in Christian McCaffrey's place. We'll see kind of how that goes, but Hubbard's gotten better as the seasons went. I think him coming into any week, knowing that he is the guy is very beneficial for him, as it would be with any athlete. You know what your expectations are. You get all those first-team reps, and he got a lot better this week against Philly. And I fully expect him to start again this week. McCaffrey didn't practice at all, didn't do any drills, didn't do anything. They're saying he's 50-50, but we know what that means. We want teams to think that he's going to play, so they somewhat game plan for him, even though he's not going to play. That's it for the recap. Let's look ahead next week. Alabama has Mississippi State. I fully expect Alabama to just go out there and take care of business. Nick Saban is going to have those guys fired up. He's going to have those guys ready, and they're going to just destroy Mississippi State. That's not even a hot take. I don't think it's a hot take. Alabama's going to be mad. And, they really outplayed Texas A&M in the second half of the game, which is a good sign for Alabama, but it's also kind of upsetting because if you came out the gate a little bit better, you're not even in this whole, if we lose to Georgia, we're out, scenario. Before you lose to Georgia, you're probably just the 4 seed. Now you lose to Georgia, you're out. So that puts a lot of pressure on the SEC championship game. But as for this week, they're going to take care of business. I'm not worried about them at all in the slightest. UT Ole Miss, very excited for this game. Very excited for the Lane train to come back to Knoxville. I wish Lane had never left. Besides the point, it's water in the bridge. But I expect a high-scoring game. I think Ole Miss will win. If you look at the sports books, Ole Miss is only favored by 2.5, which, as a Tennessee fan, that gives me optimism. But as a Tennessee fan that's been hurt before, I don't expect Tennessee to keep it that close. So I have a final score prediction of 45-35. I think Ole Miss will win by 10, and it could be worse. I mean, there's some optimism there. But I don't want to give too much credit to the team for beating South Carolina, Missouri. We beat them handedly, and that does give me optimism. And I think we're seeing something with Heupel where the team is actually getting better as the season goes, and that's something we're not used to. And I think he's really found his quarterback with Hooker. I think he's the guy. I think if we had played him all season, we don't even lose to Pittsburgh. So, Tennessee should, in my opinion, should be sitting at 5-1 right now. But it is what it is. You live and you learn, and you get better from each week. And so, anyways, Tennessee I don't think will beat Ole Miss, but we keep it close. So, Georgia-Kentucky is another game to watch. The sports books have Georgia favored by 21.5, which I don't disagree with. I think Kentucky's highly overrated. I don't think they have a good offense. Congratulations on putting 42 points up against LSU. I mean, Ed Orgeron struck gold with Joe Burrow and all those guys, and Terrace Marshall and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but LSU's not impressive. I fully expect Edo to be gone within 2 years or so. And the SEC is competitive, so it's not that I dislike Edo. I just don't think that's going to be the long-term fit there. But anyways, I mean, I think Kentucky probably covers that 21.5-point spread, but that's just a big spread. But Kentucky's not that good, and I think Georgia is for real, and I think the way their defense is played has allowed this spread to become what it has because Kentucky is so weak on the offensive side of the ball. So that's kind of what we're looking at when it comes to college football with our teams and just other SEC games to watch. Moving on to the NFL, the Panthers-Vikings. I have some personal interest in this one. Minnesota is actually favored by 1.5. Kind of shocks me, kind of doesn't. I mean, I think overall the Panthers are a better team, mainly on the defensive side of the ball. But Dalvin missed last week due to injuries and maybe even the week before that. So he's missed 2 games this year. I know that for a fact. But, it's going to be one of those games that's a toss-up, and it can come down to a final play or a final possession. And so, I think the Panthers will win the game, but I'm a fan. So what can you do? Titans-Bills, Monday Night Football. Probably the most excited I've been for a Monday Night Football game. I think the Bills have looked so good this year. They have to be by far the favorites to represent the AFC from what we have seen up to this point in the season. Josh Allen is, if I'm not mistaken, first in the MVP voting. The defense looks sensational. They just look good. And that's tough for Tennessee, and I'm pretty sure they're on the road. Monday Night Football, prime time. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for sure. Saints are on a bye week. Michael Thomas will be back soon. I know I mentioned that earlier, but there's really not much to talk about when you got a bye week. Sorry, Matt. I wish that I had something more to say about the Saints, but I gave you all I had before. I gave my all for Tennessee and the Saints today. The game of the week that I'm looking forward to the most would be the Chargers in Baltimore. Both teams are 4-1. Both teams are on top of their division. Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson are both looking sensational this season. What Lamar did last week, leading that comeback, was just one of the better things that I've seen as a sports fan. And Justin Herbert has just proved to be everything that the Chargers thought they would be when they drafted him as early as they did. So anyways, I don't think I have anything else to say. I'm really not that entertaining. Anyways, thank you for watching. What is it Michael says here? Like, subscribe, follow us, do all the things that are good in the world. And something motivational. I will give my all for Tennessee today. Goodbye.